¿Qué tal, gente que ve y escucha el podcast? Este es el episodio número 33. El día de hoy tengo un invitado muy especial. Su nombre es Shane Lee, mejor conocido como The Bee Charmer, que sería como el encantador de abejas. Él se dedica a la apicultura. Él está en la isla grande de Hawái. Así que en este episodio hablamos todo sobre abejas, desde lo más científico hasta lo más extraño, así como muchas cosas sobre espiritualidad y conexión con la naturaleza. Así que no se lo pierdan. Este es el episodio número 33 de Frank Zulus Meditations. Shane Lee, brother, I'm so stoked that you're here. I told you already. This is the episode 33 of the podcast, Frank Zulus Meditations. And you have like this, I don't know, very like good vibing tractor. So I thought this episode, I wanted I wanted it to be like kind of spiritual and connection with nature and stuff like this. And I knew about you because of our mutual friend, John Pettit. Shout out to John. He's such a good character too.
Yes.
And well, thank you for being here, for your time. And I also wanted to tell you that I love the background. Super nice.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm here
Yeah.
in my yard in the beautiful Hawaii island, and that behind me there is a chicken coop that the chickens don't even use. But maybe one day I'll take it down. But I'm in my bee venom therapy station.
Oh,
I'm sitting in the chair that my the people that come for apitherapy sit in, and I normally sit in the other chair. But I thought
oh,
today would be a good day to sit
yeah.
in the same chair that everyone that comes to visit sits in.
Oh, yeah. Seems comfy.
Yeah.
Do you have chickens like
I have a
elsewhere?
lot of chickens.
Oh,
Yes. A lot of chickens, bees. The neighborhood animals also seem to think that they live here too. And
which kind of
oh,
animals?
all of them. Living on an agriculture island is very different. It might take me quite a while to explain, but to sum it up, the typical constructs that you might see in society, especially what we refer to as the United States, they don't apply here.
Hmm.
And that's one thing that I really love about where I live.
Oh yeah, Hawaii seems like a super nice place. I've never been there, but I'd love to. I hear you have a
Yeah.
lot of like deer and stuff like this, right?
A lot of what?
Also, deer.
The axis deer are on a particular island called Molokai,
Oh,
and that island is very near and dear to my heart and soul. And when you speak of spirituality, and this being your 33rd podcast, and inviting me in particular to that, um, I get emotional even just thinking about what Molokai represents for the entire planet.
oh yeah. Um, I have a first question, but I
Mhm.
wanted to like say for everyone that does not know what you do, well, you're Shane Lee. You're called the Bee Whisperer.
Be
Uh,
charmer.
oh, Bee Charmer. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, John told me like, man, you gotta interview this guy because he's super cool and he's all about bees. And I love bees. I have a sustainable design project,
Mhm.
and well, these things on the back, they're like food dehydrators, solar food
Oh,
dehydrators. They only require sun for drying food. But I'm also designing a beehive that emulates like an empty tree trunk. So the bees, I think the bees would be happier on an environment that resembles a little bit more to what it's real in nature and where they thrive in nature. So that's why when John told me, I was like, oh, for sure I gotta interview this guy. Like,
you're exactly right in your assumption, by the way. But in this world that we live in now, right is irrelevant.
oh yeah, I've seen your
But
videos.
to best serve the bees, yes, we would rewild them, and I could take this moment to introduce you to someone that maybe everyone listening could go do a little research on. His name is Michael Thistle.
Mm,
Um, he does log hives and he rewilds bees.
okay, the name actually clicks. I don't know, but maybe I don't know. I don't know if I know this guy, but I've seen the logs, the log hive,
Yeah.
and but what I'm designing, it's like a totally crazy other stuff. Like I'll send you some of my designs, so maybe you can perceive it the way it is, because
I would
it's
love to see it. I mean,
oh yeah,
anything bee related, obviously, I'm
yeah, yeah,
going to be excited about. But especially when we talk about bringing bees more naturally,
yeah,
then I definitely am interested in.
yeah. That's the whole like objective of the beehive that I'm designing, and I'm always open to suggestions, and I'm always open to change stuff. Like these things, the dryers, like
Yeah.
they've evolved like radically. Like it's a little bit like the first one, but inside it's completely another thing. So
Well,
yeah.
that's a great quality then that I already understanding about you is that
Oh, thank you.
evolution is an intricate part of our design,
Oh
our
yeah.
human design. You know, I don't know if you've been introduced to human design and gene keys, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
part of what it's part of what I do for my apitherapy. You know, everything is code, everything,
Everything.
and
Yeah.
yeah. So being able to evolve constantly, even through the discomfort, even through the shadow, is such an intricate part of our evolution. So the minute that you get comfortable with your solar dehydrator, um,
I won't though.
right, like always improving your design and working on it and continuing to bring out the best possible thing to serve the world. That inspires me.
Oh yeah, that's totally the objective of the things I designed for the project. Like
Yeah.
constant change, because nothing is static, man. Like it's
Right.
crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. And actually, I've seen some of your videos where you talk like the right and wrong and the shadow. I love like the shadow thing. Like
Mhm.
um, ha, actually, John and a friend of his that his name is Wayne. I say a lot of two words, fuck and like. So spoiler
Yeah.
alert, I say those two words a lot. But what was I saying? Oh
The
yeah.
shadow.
Oh yeah, the shadow. I love like the concept of the integration of the
Yeah.
shadow and all these things. Like to me, it's like I don't know, balance. It's super important. So I think the shadow could help a lot of people. I've actually talked about this on the podcast with other persons,
Mhm.
and like some psychologists and some of my friends, and I don't know. I think it's like a kind of an important thing. It's the thing that makes you say or allows you to say no to something you don't want, and or I don't know, defend someone you love or something you love. I don't know, stuff like this, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Being able to, I understand that we as a world could be afraid of the shadow and afraid of the dark. Even as kids, we learn certain fears that I perceive we didn't even come into the world with. Reasons for being afraid. And Maybe I was dropped on my head as a kid. I don't know, but to me, if there's a moment of fear, it means I have work to do. So I'm not necessarily afraid of anything or anyone.
Yeah, actually, I saw one of your videos where you are talking about invincibility, and man,
Mhm.
that inspired the fuck out of me.
Really?
Because yeah, because I love that concept. Like I've never thought about it like deep thinking, but when you said it, I was like super identified with it because I don't know, I love crazy workouts and I love to do crazy shit and go and camp
Right?
in the desert and fucking dive in the ocean and go and do all this crazy stuff, right? And some people see me, some of my friends are like, dude, you're a fucking crazy person. And I'm like,
Yeah.
am I though? Like, I'm just doing things that like I don't know, hype me up, man. Like things that I think uh make me feel alive. Maybe it's
Yeah.
like something, yeah. So that makes me feel invincible because people around me think I'm crazy, and I'm like, I love that stuff. Like I don't do it because some stuff it's hard, but I do it because I love to do that shit or something, right?
Right.
So that makes me feel like invincible, and also like because of that, like I know I can go into situations where it's like, man, if I do this to myself, like how are you gonna hurt me in some way, or right, or like psychologically, spiritually, and or physically.
Yeah.
So I don't know, yeah, it's that sensation. And when I saw your video and I listened to like your message, it was like I felt like a connection with it.
Well, thank you. And yeah, that's it's an important part of how I live. And um I also I also feel I cannot do anything alone. Um, but I'm willing to if I have to.
Yeah,
Um, but I feel like connection is of the utmost important, especially in the way that the world is right now. And if I could, if I could inspire anything, it would be to give yourself the things that you need, and to to understand that taking risks, that you would be able to see yourself in society making a positive impact on the world, like that sun dehydrator, the solar dehydrator. There is a need. There is a need for that. And you must believe in yourself.
yeah,
But we do not need to believe in ourselves. We don't. Why? Because I see what I'm capable of, and seeing is believing. I know what I'm capable of because I've already done things. Not only that, when I remove the inner dialogue that creates doubt, fear, blame, guilt, shame, those core wounds, when I remove that voice, spirituality becomes an operation. It's a superpower in a sense, because that dialogue that tells me that I cannot do something, or that I'm not good enough, or that I don't have the ability, all of a sudden it's a knowing. I do have the ability. And I don't need to hear anybody else tell me, hey Shane, you can do that. You can start from absolutely nothing in a nowhere land where no one looks like you or acts like you or resonates with you, and you can instill positive change on the world and make a positive impact. You know, that solar dehydrator, you know, we know about nutrients in food, for example. We also know the amazing abilities of the sun to harness energy like that. And then, I mean, to be able to present that into the world for people that, one, could be less fortunate than you, right? So they maybe do not have an oven, and they maybe live in a place where there's no electricity. And maybe even if it's just for that young kid graduating college in society that wants to do the van life thing and needs to have a solar oven, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that you're bringing happiness into the world, because what we put into our body gives us those superpowers, that reminder, right? Like
Yeah,
good quality water, good quality food. Food is that medicine, you know?
yeah,
So
totally.
that comes with responsibility, but you must know in yourself, even beyond belief, there can be no doubt that you can inflict positive impact on the world.
Oh man, what you said was just super cool. Actually, I agree with you. Like coming a little bit back, like I feel invincible when I do all this kind of shit I like, and people think it's crazy. But I also appreciate a lot my friends and my family, like their support and like
Yeah,
the connection. Like
right.
like what you were saying, you cannot do alone all these things, but if you might, you should. Like
Yeah.
I connected a lot with that. And actually, I wanted to ask you, and I was like thinking maybe I should ask this question later on, but I'll ask it right now because you were talking about like this spirituality and the shadow and stuff. What do you think, if you even believe it, what do you think it's God?
What do I think is God?
Yeah.
I live with God.
Hmm. Okay.
She looks at me every morning,
Okay. 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 Because,
and through her eyes, I see myself.
hmm,
So then I remember who I am.
okay. So, because like when I think about God and stuff like this, like I grew up on a Catholic environment, and
Me
I
too.
always like didn't like it at all. Like
Mhm.
it was always super weird, and I don't know. Thing is, I like see myself as someone spiritual, like maybe not super spiritual and all that mumbo jumbo thing.
Right.
But when I think about God, I like a lot a concept of a philosopher from the Netherlands. I don't know, maybe you've heard of him. His name was Brauch Spinoza. I don't know if you.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
so I love his concept of Deus sive natura, which means that God is nature. So that
Yes.
I believe, man. Like everything that is nature, plants, animals, rocks, the space, the universe, all this, I think it's God. I think I am God, and I think other persons are God. Like so, since I believe that I'm God, like because I'm part of nature, that
Mhm.
also makes me feel invincible,
Right.
and that's a sensation that I didn't come to realize until not so long ago, and it has like empowered me. Like my whole personality has like evolved a little bit because of only that fact. And yeah, that's some crazy stuff.
Well, you want to hear the real story about immaculate conception, because I too
Oh yeah.
was I grew up in the Catholic religion. I'm fascinated by the Catholic religion and all religions. I've studied as
Oh
many as
yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
And I even dove into, I mean, I didn't partake in it, but I even dove into the Mormon religion just because I need to have awareness. I want to know things. I want to know them so well that I know them. And, um, you know, we discovered in the 1850s, well, basically in the beehive, we have discovered all genetics and what happens, consciousness itself. The immaculate conception can be summed up in the beehive, and we discovered something similar scientifically called haploid. Do you know what a haploid is?
No. What is it?
Okay, well, a haploid is fatherless, basically. And I like to speak in
Oh.
very layman sense. Why? Well, just because I grew up rough, I don't need words to be decorated to know that I'm intelligent. I like to say the word fuck too. Why? Because fucking's fun. That's
Oh
why.
yeah. It gives you like this kind of pleasure or something.
Yeah. So it does not mean I'm not the most spiritual person that I can imagine myself to be, because I am. Everything I do is based in spirituality and a connection to God, the Most High. So let me just remind everyone that nature is feminine first. And I am not for women. Don't be confused by this statement. And I'm not for men. Don't be confused by me saying that nature is feminine first. I honor the feminine. And that's just it. And I will develop more practices as I evolve to get better and better with my inspiration that is to be better connected with the feminine. I happen to be in this very masculine body. I don't know how or why, but I can see it. I don't need to believe what people tell me. I look in the mirror, I see I have a masculine body. You know, I'm strong. I'm built different. And I know nature is feminine. I see the qualities of femininity all around me all the time. I live with 5 women, and they range in ages from 10 years old to 46. Wait,
Damn.
maybe she's 47, maybe. And the beehive is anywhere from 95 to 98% feminine.
Yeah.
Bees are female. And it doesn't matter what anyone else tells me. It matters what I hear when I work with them. Animals are always communicating. The land is always communicating. We scientifically know that we store information in water. Water retains memory. It's how we get it. So water's feminine. It's soft. It flows. It's intuitive.
It can beat you too.
It'll beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And nothing else can bring me to my knees like a woman can. I don't care. A man could knock me down, break my nose over and over again, and I'll get right back up.
Girls will beat the fuck out of you, as you said.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Worse than any dude that will punch you in the face or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying I'm getting anything right by any stretch of the imagination. Trust me, I have failed miserably. I was in a 14-year marriage and I swore I was doing it right, but oh my goodness, never mind. But the feminine aspect that is the raw truth of nature is what I get to work with and what I get to study. And then we go all the way through apitherapy. And I can tell you the story of the Immaculate Conception. I'll get there. I like to talk if you haven't noticed. But we hold information in our body. We store emotions in our body, right? And then our body holds on to these things. Oh, yeah. I know I'm not my body. I know that. Not only do I know it, I understand that this body is a gift to be me then. I get to be me in part because of this body. Who gave me this body? My mother, right? My mother, she gave me this. Now, my father did too, but I literally was carried around in my mother. She nurtured me and brought me into this world, and I don't need to believe in anything to know that.
Oh, yeah, so that's a fact.
That's a fact. So if and when I need humility, that's all I need to think about. My mother brought me here. She can wish the most love upon me than anyone I know. That saying, that's a face only a mother could love. That's right. I know my mother loves me. So I don't need to draw inspiration from anything else than that. She gave me life. So when I enter the hive, I approach it like that. Like these bees gave me life because they're feminine. Earth. I don't remember every step that I take upon this earth. I admit I'm not consciously taking every step remembering that this earth has given me life. But when I connect with the bees and when I connect with kids, I'm pretty much always remembering that, like to understand how precious they are to the world is a privilege, and it needs to be shared. It needs to be connected to. It must be connected to in order for it to continue. So haploid is, in a sense, what we discovered in the 1850s in the hive. which is the definition of immaculate conception. So check this out. What is a drone?
A drone
Yes.
in the bee world?
Yes.
Well, it's the male bee that
Correct.
only serves. It's always inside the hive, right? And it only serves sexual purposes, I think. And it
Okay, its
dies after
main
sex. Is it right?
correct.
Yeah.
So what I try to tell people is remember, at a minimum, take a romantic language approach to life. So, pero solamente un poquito. But you know, like I at least I can completely and totally get along in this world speaking only Spanish. But I would not say I'm fluent. But the reason why I suggest those things is at least having a romantic language approach to life reminds you to have connection to each word, connection to everything that you're doing. Stay present with what you are doing, and you will see. Not only you will see, you will hear. Mother Nature is always trying to get your attention, to connect with her. So then, you know, the drone is the male bee. The male bee serves the main purpose of delivering semen to the queen. Now, when the queen is a virgin, she is born of a queen cell, which is outside of the Fibonacci sequence.
Oh.
All other bees are born into a life and possible death, correct? Life and death is Fibonacci sequence. It's in everything, right? So all other bees are born in a hexagonal cell.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
About this exactly? Is this because of the royal jelly?
We're gonna get there.
Oh, okay.
I love royal jelly. I ate 4 queen cells 2 days ago. I'm still high from it. But anyway, so the hexagonal cell has a perfect divot in the center. There's 3 lines that I have to take my glasses off when I work with bees because my vision is different. It's dedicated for the bees. So to walk around in this world, maybe I need these. But when I work with bees, these come off. I can see the tiny, infinite, tiny speck that is a queen's egg. Perfectly laid every single time in the center of the cell that has this perfect little divot that you will see is part of the Fibonacci sequence. And there's 3 lines that allow for that. And the bees are constantly building this perfect structure without variation. I mean, she not only lays up to 2,500 eggs a day, but she fertilizes them. And when she takes that virgin mating flight, she takes one and only in her life. She darts across the sky, and these drones meet her there. And the first drone enters her, and as soon as he explodes his information inside of her, he becomes detached from his penis and falls to his death. The next drone has to pull that drone's penis out in order to put his in. So just let that sink in for a second. And this could happen up to 30 or so times, but generally speaking, in nature, it's going to happen about 20 times. She stores all of that semen for the rest of her existence, and left to natural raising, even the way that I raise bees is not totally natural. I see that there's a need for commercial beekeeping in this world, so I want to facilitate a more natural way for that, right? It's still not natural, but I do my best with what I have. And I have queens that are 4 years old. And people say, well, you don't paint your queens or clip their wings. How can you be sure? If I need to prove it to you, I will. And I have to many people. I have had many interns, many students, many people in my classes, you know, witnesses to many, many things. But I don't need to prove myself to anyone except God and nature. So when
Just to make a point about that, real fast, I believe you because I know for a fact that queens can live up to 7 years And
Yes.
the average life of a bee, and this is completely facts. The average life of a bee it's around 28 days. So the difference it's fucking crazy. So I do believe what you're saying.
Not only that, bees can live 6 weeks and they're not. Not only that, queens can live 6, 7, 8 years. I've had one that was 5 years old. She's actually still alive. But I know I cannot prove it, but I have had people that have witnessed miraculous things. And if we have time, I'll get to a really cool story. But I want to do this in immaculate conception. And I know I've sort of danced around here, but it's just so romantic to me.
But
It's
by
so
immaculate
romantic.
conception, you means that it comes from a mother as a first step, right?
Not only that, she does it from nothing.
Exactly, yeah. That's why I said like as a first step, as nothing gets before it.
Right. So when she returns to the hive, she is fertile. She is fertilized with those drone semen. So then in order to keep the hive with new bees, fresh bees, evolving, right? Growing from nurse bee all the way to the pollinator. There's other roles too, but each bee gets to play each role, right? Each bee gets to identify in each aspect throughout their life when they are left to be 6 weeks old. So there will come a time, though, potentially, where a queen is not inseminated. Well, the hive will just die. Or
They'll put a new queen.
not only will they put a new queen,
They'll kill the old one.
the infertile queen will lay a fatherless egg.
Oh, that I didn't know.
A fatherless egg. And that, or many of those. And those cells will be raised to be the new queen. And yes, you're correct. They will ball the old queen or kill the old queen. And then this fatherless bee will be the royalty for that hive. And she will then take another risk without any of that, that awareness, the prior awareness, being born from nothing. And that's haploid. She will take that risk again to take that mating flight, knowing that the hive depends on her to get mated in order to be fertile, in order to be in communion, in order to thrive.
Yeah, it's crazy. And we're talking only about bees, which are super, super interesting, but every species does something fucking like crazy.
Miraculous.
Miraculous, like super miraculous.
Yeah, and it's a romantic story. The idea of immaculate conception, but then you see the gift but not only the gift, but the challenge that it is to be feminine.
Oh yeah.
Like the weight of the world depends on it. And if we just understood that consciousness itself could become physical thanks to the bees.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because of the bees, right? But thanks to the bees, consciousness, what is non-physical, we have the opportunity to experience physically because of the bees. And the way that I can explain that is like simple protein and amino acid. The 22 essentials found in nature are found in the hive, bee pollen itself. And, these essentials of proteins, it's all science, right? Since it's so important to talk about science now, it's right there, plain to see. And then you must have the amino acid, not for every single protein, but for most of them, you need the amino acid. So, and I know I'm being very layman when I talk like that, but it's so that everyone can get it, so that everyone can understand that no matter the levels of science, and in my opinion, it's not necessary to have a full grasp on science. It people like it like me, but it's
I like it too.
also, yeah, it's also spirituality for me.
Oh
Science
yeah,
is spirit.
totally, man. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, that we say really common things that are very cliche now. But without the bees, we wouldn't be here, right? I mean, we kind of can know that, right?
Einstein,
Like
Einstein
go ahead.
said it best. You know?
Yeah. And exactly. Like, to understand the impact that one being has on nature would remind us then to at least give a little bit of ourselves to nature. You don't have to give it all, though. The bees already do that. So then it's a privilege to be physical. And then you and I would not waste our time. We would understand it's a privilege to simply be physical. And I know some lives are harder than others. And I want to remind everyone, I understand that. And you are justified if you quit. And you are justified if this life seems too hard and too challenging at times. But if you ever need the reminder is knowing that nature never gives up on you, ever. She will do anything and everything to make sure you have an opportunity to be physical. And that brings me to my knees in gratitude.
Oh yeah, because actually, when you were talking a moment ago, you were saying like you are not just your body, and that's super right, because the body, it's just a part of existence on a physical realm, and
right.
But we gotta do a lot of things to keep it. That's something that's crazy. The bees are a big thing, at least for us humans. Like, I don't know
Right.
if there's like aliens or other beings in other planets that are intelligent and maybe they depend on other ecosystems and creatures and stuff.
Right.
But we depend on a lot of different, not just animals, plants,
Yes.
fungi, a
Right.
lot of microorganisms. Like those are basic for life. Like they live inside you and they are not you. They just are symbiotic to you, but you need them to live, because if not, you're gonna be sick and die like horribly ill. And
you need the enzymes in your gut.
yeah.
You must have the bacteria in your gut.
That's what keeps you healthy. Like it's the biggest thing that keeps you healthy. And a lot of people don't realize that, because the average diet of a human everywhere on the world, it's fucking shit. Like,
it's terrible.
A lot of processed foods, a lot of chemicals, a lot of shit, literally.
But let's get back to being invincible.
Oh yeah, man.
Because I know I'm invincible, I challenge myself.
Exactly, because you can decide to eat healthy and stuff like this, right? Because I don't know, your friends, your family, adults, when you're a kid, they tell you like fucking veggies taste like shit. And that's like, you grow up thinking that. Like I never grew up thinking that, because my mom was real good at like teaching me they're good and they taste like right. But most of my friends, when I was a child, they were like, I hate it. And then as a child, I remember watching their parents like, yeah, this tastes like shit. And it's like, dude, it's vegetables. Like you need to teach your children to eat them, because those are like healthy. Like, just to say an example. But now that I'm an adult, like, or an adult or whatever, like I decide to, like, sometimes I'm with my friends and they bring chips and shit, and I'm like, okay, just a little. But I focus on eating right most of the day, every day, like whole foods, I don't know, stuff like this. And I try not to eat like sugar and all these processed foods, because they affect even your mind, nonetheless, the body and a lot of things. So yeah, that's That's, as you said before, that's code.
Yes, it's code.
Actually,
So like the bacteria in your gut helps formulate enzymes which break down even if you do eat what we consider bad food.
yeah,
Like, like, and that's the issue, the biggest issue I feel for honeybees is in our environment, they may not have access to clean water, right? Which I would hope that we would try to provide that. But if we do not, I can't hold everybody's hand, right? But then, okay, I know that a big majority of commercial beekeeping feeds bees white bleached refined sugar that has 0 nutrients, right? They feed them that. Not only do they feed them that semi-regularly, they have to go through an entire winter, right? So when they are exposed to the chemicals that we use, we have learned, scientifically speaking, that eats away at our gut lining and enzymes inside our digestive system, and it also does that to the honeybees. But years ago, I mean, this is old news, so I hardly even want to talk about it anymore, but you know what? We already proved it. If you consume at least lactobacillus, which is bacteria basically for layman speaking, what will happen is you will develop instant enzymes to help you break down Roundup. And I even, because I'm that crazy guy that you talked about, I had witnesses to watch me because who knows, maybe I'll die because I'm so crazy and I don't even care. I don't. And I know that's irresponsible. Trust me. I got so many stories of how irresponsible I am. Trust me. Go ahead, point the finger at me for not caring. But in my opinion, if I die, then I died for the honeybees. How about that? At least it's romantic, right? I can at least tell myself I did something good for this world, right? I went out for the honeybees. So then I could be that guy, that superhero, right? What a joke. But I did it just because I was crazy enough to. I ate lactobacillus and then ate Roundup. Nothing happened to me. Now, would I suggest that for anyone? No, I would not. I fast. It's the way that I eat. I try to go 18 hours between eating. And then when I do eat, I'm 5'11" and 155 pounds. And I can devour more food than people 3 times my size. Why? Because it's fuel. It's medicine. And I can turn anything into fuel and medicine because I have an indestructible gut thanks to lactobacillus. And I'm a natural farmer, so I use fermentations and bacteria. I use mushrooms, right? So there's Paul Stamets. Have you heard of the mushroom guy?
Man, of course. I was going to ask you about that guy because I follow him a lot. And I know since, I don't know, 3 years ago that he posted about the reishi mushrooms that he, and he's another crazy guy, but I love crazy people because I'm crazy too. He said, like, he's a fellow bee lover, right?
Yes.
And he was at his home or his ranch or farm or whatever, and he just watched the bees going to take the mycelium from the reishi mushroom, and he was like, "What the fuck is happening?" Right? And he realized that the mycelium was helping the bees with the varroa, which is this fucking parasites that stalks on their back, and that's, I don't know if that's the biggest trouble for the bees, but it's one of the top 3 at least. And that was impressive.
I would say scientifically speaking, yes, the varroa mite is the biggest issue. But I do not stop there. I think depression is the biggest issue.
Okay.
And
on the beehives?
On the beehive, depression. We as humans often try to relate our own emotions to animals. We will even say things like even habitually, my dog is upset by your energy or things like that.
Oh yeah. every
Yeah.
time.
And I find that very interesting, but I won't judge. But let me tell you a little something called chitin. That's the
Called
hair.
what?
Chitin.
Oh, okay.
It's basically the hair on the back of bees, which the varroa mite eats.
Mm.
And it also eats the bees' wings, right? Deformed wing diseases from this. But let me tell you a little story about that dog, the neighborhood dog, that you're going on your walk, right? And you come up to that dog's yard, right? And that dog runs to the fence and is barking at you. And it's got that little tuft of hair on its back sticking up, right? Do you know why?
Well, he's emotionally, like expressing emotion to the person he's barking at.
And that is science. So we do not need to interpret an animal's emotions. We can't, but we can feel it. And because they are projecting their territory and or boundaries clearly, they are not hindered by emotions.
Okay. That makes
So
sense.
that dog throws up its hair back there. There is microbes, dirt, soil on its back, dust at a minimum, right? The oils, pheromones,
Oh, yeah.
trapped in moisture, created with the static electricity of that movement. And it throws its energy at you when it throws up its hair to let you know this is my yard. If you don't hear me with my bark, the tickles in your ears from those tiny little hair, more chitin, if you do not hear me, you will feel me.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're like, whoa, shit, I'm not going near that dog. And if you don't listen, you may get bitten.
Yeah.
If you do not respect that.
You don't follow the signs.
Yeah. If you don't follow the signs, you must get bitten. You must feel it for real in order to learn your lesson sometimes. Okay.
Same is with bees. When you get close to a beehive, the bees fucking you up will depend on the state of mind you have, because you will realize like some hormones, and the bees will detect them, and they will be like, oh, he's chill, or he's a potential problem. We might kill you. So yeah, that's a fact. Also, going a little bit back to man and woman and all these things.
Yeah.
I read a book about a lot of things. It was about like sex, eating, sleeping, a bunch of things. And this guy said something super interesting to me, and I was like, this makes a lot of sense. He was like, dudes and girls, you should not make up a lot of your natural scent with perfumes and stuff, because the DNA knows what a potential good mate is for you, just because you, like, even if you're not conscious about it, you are smelling hormones that are capable of like connect right on the DNA. And that's something super fucking crazy, man. Like, humans don't think about it on an like day, right? Like, you don't think, and it's like, maybe I'm not gonna put a lot of perfume today because maybe I'll meet someone that's cool or anything. Like, it's something like you don't know easily.
Nature is communicating like that constantly. Yeah. And Paul Stamets is an example of being able to hear nature. So I had an intern, I had an intern named Mr. Microbe. His name is David Forsyth. And I've shown a lot of people a lot of really cool, fun things, because I don't need a whole audience, right? I like to actually have just one person with me, you know, so that we can have a good time and share and create core memories that will last a lifetime, that you'll tell stories to your kids and your kids and your kids' kids' kids. I am a philosopher in a sense of like Rudolf Steiner, those type of teachings. Like, he is one of my favorite teachers in the way that like storytelling is helping to facilitate the imagination of a child, or I don't even like to use the word child, kid. So when we're born into the world, we do not have the doubt like that, like we do as adults, a polluted mind. So being a natural farmer, I literally witness working with kids versus working with adults, working with, let's just say, for lack of better words, damaged goods. When you worked with kids, I can use the same amount of plant material, the same amount of brown sugar to ferment that plant material and do something called lomi lomi. It's a massage that you understand as a facilitator of not just physical energy, but spiritual energy. You put all of your love and intentions into your fingertips, and you give the plant material with that brown sugar all of that love, all of that energy, all of that attention, all of that focus. These kids, with using the same amount of plant material and brown sugar, make more liquid than I do. But that's my inspiration for continuing. But some people out here, they experience jealousy or envy or things like that. But I want to remind all of those people, wait, we need one another. When you are in observation with nature, you're more like Paul Stamets in a sense, where you start to hear and see things that you did not normally hear and see. So that Mr. Microbe and I noticed something. Bees seek it. Once exposed to something good for them, they seek and find it. So I have tested this on so many different levels, but water is my favorite, easiest way. You give bees minerals in their water, all of a sudden, they never look back, and they tell every other bee, don't drink that water, drink this water. And I grow plants. I work with nature in every sense of the imagination. So I have a full nursery, I have a full garden. Maybe I'll take you for a walk one day. But when you use natural fertilizer, natural stuff, the bees go to the little kipuka at the bottom of the plant. Kipuka means like the sacred hole. So they go to the, the little holes at the bottom of your planter boxes, the pots.
Yeah.
They drink the water out of there after you water them.
I've seen it here in my garden, actually. Yeah.
See? Okay. They're specifically seeking out that water porque tiene información. It has nature's information. Water holds memory. What it takes to not only survive, but thrive is in that water. That plant shares its information with the bee. The bee gives the information back through pollination. It never stops.
Yeah.
The mushrooms are magic. They're the network underneath the ground. We know this scientifically. What it took. I have a tree on this land where I live, where I tend the land and work with the land and the animals and the plants and everything. I have an older tree. Everything that it took for that tree to be happy and healthy and make it as long as it has, through the mycelia, it shares all the knowledge. It tells all the other trees, hey, listen, it's about to get cold right now, like you better do this. Hey.
the tree voice was amazing.
So what he noticed, what Paul Stamets noticed, I actually saw with my own eyes. And when you understand mycelium, then you understand how magnetic it is. It heals the brains, and this is also why I study religion. Samskara. Do you know what those words mean?
Samsara is heaven. Am I right or not?
Well, I like to be very layman. So,
like kind of the similar concept, right?
Similar. So let's just say our brain creates reality. Let's just say that. So through trauma, when we experience pain, but not only pain, the suffering we attach to it, we create grooves in our brain. The water in our brain is interrupted. The electricity in our brain is interrupted. Well, thanks to mushrooms, that comes right back. And now, let's just say we are depressed. Let's just say we have been exposed to chemicals and we watch our young die. The hive has experienced this. It's called formic acid. Beekeepers, in the rushing to get rid of parasites, will use formic acid, wiping out an entire group of young bees, killing them and justifying it in the name of getting rid of the parasite. I won't go harsh on those beekeepers because I understand. But imagine nature being depressed for just a moment, losing their young. I mean, we like to pretend animals have feelings too. Imagine losing all your young at once. So then my inspiration is to make sure the hive doesn't have to suffer. And by understanding the grooves that we create with trauma in our own very brains, we do this with pain and suffering. We do this with trauma, and understanding what Paul Stamets is talking about and breaking it down on a real simple form. He's not trying to get or convince anyone of all this scientific magic. He's just saying, hey, let's make sure bees have some mushrooms. There's the science that proves it heals these neurological disorders in our brain. You do not have to be a rocket scientist to understand that. So then, if we are to feed bees things, can we at least do a little better than white refined sugar? And can we at least say, just because I add things to this white refined sugar, I feel better about it? No. Be inspired. Be inspired to do more. So with natural farming solutions, I ferment brown sugar because you cannot feed brown sugar to bees. They will have explosive diarrhea and then die. But when you ferment it with plants, add a little reishi, add a little honey, and add a little of that good water and feed it to them, you never have to look back.
Actually,
they're so happy and so healthy.
Yeah, I saw a video like 2 days ago, of one of your videos, and you were talking exactly about this with the banana leaves. I think you were saying fermented.
Yeah.
And it made a lot of sense when I was hearing you saying that you should use what's on the land to take care of what's on the land, and that inspired me a lot too, because I observed, because when I'm on the garden, I have a little like orchard, and I have a little like veggies and fruit and stuff like this. And there's like another part of the garden where it's like cactus and other plants and butterflies. There's a lot. It's like a little ecosystem. There's a lot of life in there, and I observe a lot, and I realized that there was these little bees that everyone thought were like mosquitoes, but they were not. They're the native bees of all from South America to North America. They're called the tribe of Augoclorini. They're not even a species because they vary a lot.
Right.
I thought you were gonna say something.
No.
So I observed them, and at first I thought they were like mosquitoes, and then I was like, okay, this is not a mosquito, because one like just stand there in my arm, and I was like, this looks like a bee, but it's green and it's super small. And then
tiny.
Then I made the research, and I even took a lot of videos of them. I'll put one here on our on this episode, and I'll send you just so you can see what I'm talking about, in case you haven't seen them yet. And what I realized by watching them was that they were pollinating a lot of plants that these European bees that are all around here, they don't even stand on these plants. And I get it, because they didn't even evolve with these plants.
Right.
And these other like bees, they are all around these plants that the European bees don't even look at. And I was like, without these bees, a whole like bunch of things would die, and they are also endangered. And as I told you, people think they're flies or mosquitoes, and they kill them.
Right.
Like, man, it's weird, because they are on the land because they are part of the land and they are super important. Like,
Yeah.
Because when you say bee, everybody imagines the apis.
common, the common honeybee.
Yeah. So yeah, I remembered when you said these last things.
But they seek it.
Yeah.
Once they know something serves them, they seek it. Like Paul Stamets is trying to remind everyone, hey, listen, they in nature go find hongo. They go find it.
Yeah.
And there's a reason, because it serves us. It generates neurological healing that you cannot really wrap up in words.
Yeah.
So that's, as an observer, because I am a natural farmer, as an observer, because that's a gift that I was given from the Most High, is to observe, because by seeing things, I make them real.
Yeah.
Thank you to the Most High. So then I go out in nature, I observe what is in abundance, not lack. I need to remove the idea of lack from my mind. I am not playing Captain Saberho. I will not run around trying to save bees. No, I will defend them and provide the things, because I brought them into the world, right? I made them physical. It's my responsibility as a farmer. If I bring something into the world, right?
You gotta take care of it. Yeah.
I gotta take care of it a little bit. And I've made the mistake before. I've made the mistake before of not taking care of what I brought into the world.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah.
So then now that I'm a llama, what happens? I observe and I'm watching the bees seek out the plant material. So I did it yesterday. That ferment that you saw me make, I put it on my plants. Not only did I do that, I take the material that's left over that has moisture in it still, and I put it on my plants, right? And it rains at night here. And then I come out in the morning and guess what I see?
What?
Las abejas. They are eating off of the plant material. Why would they if they don't like it? Why would they if they cannot? Why would they if they didn't need it? So I think we need to listen to Paul Stamets a little bit. And not only that, I have a couple of amazing women from Chile, and I call all women that love bees, even remotely, a word that means honeybee, and that's Melissa. And Melissa Code. Melissa Code is how I operate. And if anyone wants a good book, that's a quick and awesome read. It's called Shamanic Way of the Bee. And if you want a detailed book with some pretty fun, imaginary, but very real things, Fifth Sacred Thing, it's about the bee world and the Melissa Code. And that is the queen cell. That is royal jelly. That is haploid. That is nature. That is the feminine. And once again, I'm not pro-woman any more than I'm pro-man. I don't get confused by all of the societal things that's happening. Nah. All living things not only get to, but must have the same reverence or equal reverence. All of them. And until we do that, then we're.
Oh yeah, your mic.
Yeah, is it okay now?
Yeah.
Okay, but the thing that we get to do is be the observer. So when we are the observer, we can hear nature speaking to us. So by removing lack, I take what's in abundance, I ferment it, I mix it with the honey and really high quality water, a little bit of reishi, and I give it to the bees. You don't have to have a reason. It could be the best season in the world. Just give them a little bit. And it's magic. It just is magic. You don't need a reason. But yeah. I like his stories too. And did you ever hear him talk about the bear?
No, no, I haven't.
Well, I kind of made my own little version of it, and I'll just do this one real quick. So
Okay.
the bear travels through the fall, getting ready for winter hibernation, and it finds a nice cedar tree, and it takes those beautiful claws there, and it scratches that tree, and then scratches its back. Remember what's on the back of the dog?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
on the back of the bear. And the bear's just rubbing up on a tree like, oh, this back scratch so good. And he left all of his dirt and mycology with the static electricity. And that action attracts those little things floating in the sky that mushrooms begin to grow, spore. And that creates a kipuka in that tree, a sacred hole, right? So while that bear is hibernating, in and sleeping it off throughout the winter, it comes out and is wandering, and at springtime that honeybee is looking for its new home, and it finds that hole that was created by the mushrooms, right, growing on that tree. You can call it birch, you can call it whatever tree you want to. Whoa, and it comes back to its hive and it says, hey, everybody, watch this dance. I'm going to do this really cool dance. I found the perfect home for us. So it's shaking its little booty, and it's called the Waggle Dance, or it's called the whatever you want to call it dance. And they all decide then, hey, you know what? That's where we're going to live. So they swarm into that tree, and they start building their honeycomb and their larvae in there. And then that bear is wandering back. And gets to that tree, and it says, oh, there's my honey. There's my honey.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't really tell then, like, who had the idea first. Nature had the idea first.
Yeah, for sure. Oh,
And
that's
to the
super
mushrooms.
good story.
Yeah, thanks to the mushrooms, thanks to the bees, thanks to the bears, thanks to the birds, thanks to everybody, like, hey, let's do this. Let's do it together.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Gracias por seguir aquí. Yo soy Frank Zulu y estás viendo el episodio número 33 del podcast Frank Zulu's Meditations, esta vez con nuestro invitado especial desde Hawái, Shane Lee. Y esto solamente es un corte informativo para recordarles que se suscriban a los canales de YouTube, Spotify, así como que nos sigan en nuestras redes sociales, donde también nos encuentran como Frank Zulu's Meditations, así como pueden verlo escrito aquí arriba o aquí abajo, no lo sé. En este siguiente segmento del episodio número 33 con Shane Lee, estamos hablando sobre una mujer chilena llamada Sole, quien se dedica a la terapia con veneno de abeja para tratar muchas cosas, así como de más temas sobre abejas y espiritualidad. Gracias por seguir aquí. Soy el episodio número 33 de Frank Zulu's Meditations.
Sole.
Oh, okay.
I'll put up a link for you.
Great. Yes, I can share it also.
She will be here in a week. We have all. She came one more time to visit, and but this time we're really going to get things going. But she alone is an inspiration for the world. And then even her home, country, Chile, went through something in 2019, and boy, you really you just need to be inspired by our abilities to come together. And what we need to do, we just need to give the bees more attention. We need to give nature more attention. And some people are just good at it. And they need support. They need actual support. Now, the things that I started in the past, the things that I have done in the past, they did create a lot of legwork for a lot of things. But I think I'm better served connecting directly to the bees and letting someone else be in charge. And Sole has taken the lead, and she's working with another woman named Patricia, and they are taking the lead, and they're just telling me what to do.
Yeah, just
And
for people that don't know, when a bee stings you, it usually dies. Well, it dies always because
yes,
the sting is attached to its organs and it
yeah,
pulls out everything.
the stinger
So
is barbed.
yeah, so what you're trying to do here is to do the venom therapy of
Yes,
the bees without
right,
the bee dying. So
correct.
you're and you were saying you do this with a special like claw
It's a
or
hook tweezer,
a hook, yeah.
but I have learned how to do it with my nails. So I grow my pinky nails longer so that I could take the stinger out. You could also use a credit card, but I only learned those things because there would be some days working in commercial beekeeping that I would have hundreds of stingers in my body,
Oh
and
yeah.
you got to take them out real quick. but that's also the reminder, like, oh, this kitty cat, come over here. No, listen, you're not caneta. So Sole taught me that method, and she's coming back here in a week, and we really need to like get the word out. And Super Defender is what she started. So of course, in order to help fund some of the projects that we are doing, we need to get into certain markets, but we also need donations. So many people do, or so many big business, or so many hospitals and so on, they don't quite fully support these things, but people with Lyme alone are being healed by bee venom therapy, apitherapy.
I didn't know about
I guess,
Lyme. I knew
yeah,
about HIV,
yeah,
like they treated with it, but I didn't know about Lyme. And Lyme is
so
a
many things.
serious fucking thing also.
This cat is a little troublemaker.
Oh, cats are
But
crazy.
yeah, but I got distracted there. But so yeah, that's really what I want to do with my energy now, is allow someone else to steer the ship. And Sole is a great driver. She is a great boat captain,
Oh,
and I am on her ship. And maritime law is the wind over the ocean.
oh, when
The
you said she
ocean.
was a boat captain, I thought it literally, and I was like, oh, she's she's a handful of abilities.
She is. She really is. And so I'm gonna take a different role now. After taking a couple few years off for healing, I'm ready to get really hardcore and go hard again, and really roll up my sleeves. And a, a really good example is if people need healing, they should be able to get it. And back in the day, people that did this type of work, working with others for healing, they didn't necessarily have to charge for it, because not everyone has all the money to afford that, right? So we have like insurance. Well, not everyone even has insurance, and we should have it. Basic medical care, it should be second nature, really, but not everyone has it. And then the people that need it, sometimes I do it for free, and I have done it for free. And I actually have no choice. If somebody needs the healing and they don't have any money, I do not turn them away, and I won't.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
I feel that.
yeah. So, we really need to be able to provide any mode of healing that anyone is choosing. And I know we have our own judgments. Like, I don't agree with chemotherapy. I do not agree with it. I've healed myself of cancer. People that I know have healed themselves of cancer without chemotherapy. And if you have healed yourself of chemotherapy, can you at least see that you chose that? And that's why you healed. So if that option is there for you, wouldn't you like someone else to have an option that they want?
Yeah.
And as a super bee defender,
Hmm.
that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like you just said, there's just not only one way to a certain place, right? Like it's not only like chemotherapy, or it's not only like the Catholic God or
Right.
the Muslim God or whatever, right? It's not like everything comes in different ways, and that's something else. Like they say duality, but that means two. I think that it's multi-ality or whatever the fuck it is the right word.
Right.
But you can go to a place from like a bunch of different ways. So I think people have proven that they can cure certain types of cancer just by eating the right diet and stuff like this. We were
Right.
talking about before about eating the right food, and that's medicine and stuff like this. It is true, man. Like
Yeah.
all that we eat as an omnivore animal will affect you in some positive or negative way, right? And I do believe that the more natural you can eat, the better it's gonna be for your body and your health and your gut biome and all these things we were talking about before also. So yeah, that's something cool.
Yeah. At a minimum, if we do not have access to these things, why do we expect certain behavior from people? If people do not have basic needs for healthcare and basic needs for quality food and water, why do we expect anyone to act a certain way? We think we've got human behavior figured out, right? We like to
Oh
know
no.
things, we like to know everyone and why they are behaving the way that they are. Meanwhile, we live in a society where we're struggling for these needs.
Even food changed the way you are and act, because eating like shit food will give you
Yeah,
depression as a fact.
as
Like,
a fact.
and that will change who you are and how you act. And
Yep.
that's no fucking magic or
Yeah.
any like
You don't need to
it's
be a rocket scientist to know
yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. And it's weird that people still like don't like it's like no. It's I don't know. Like they're not believers. I don't know. It's weird. Or
It
it's
is
like they
weird.
don't want to know, although they know. But it's like not
Well, that
accepted.
is it. That is it. We
Yeah.
distract ourselves with others so that we don't have to see ourselves, and that's fine. I'm the captain of that. I distract myself with others so I don't have to see myself. It's fine.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, totally.
That's why we did all this. That's why we made it so big. That's why the universe is so expansive. That's why there's, we used to call our DNA junk DNA just because it was undiscovered. 95% of our DNA scientifically was undiscovered and called junk. And then,
Yeah.
and the sea, the ocean, which is why I like to remind everyone maritime law. Maritime law is the law of water, which is feminine, which flows, which can bring you to your knees
Oh,
in
for
prayer,
sure.
right? So like these very basic awarenesses we take for granted or forget, and we just keep distracting ourselves. But here we are now. We know the universe is expanding at such a quantum pace we can't even really wrap our minds about. But that's why I like the gene keys so much, or human design, because I'm interested in learning why I behave the way I do. I'm interested in learning about this body and how to use it the best way possible. Because, the cliche thing, this is my vessel. Yeah, this is
It
my
is though.
vessel. Yeah. So I better do the best I know how by it so that I could do all the things that I'm imagining. I want to be the best beekeeper on the planet. I want to not only be the best beekeeper, I want to be able to do it naked. So when I work, the reason why though is just because it's sweaty and hot out here in Hawaii. So when I have all the outfit on, it smells like bee venom anyway, so it makes the bees mad. They're triggered by it anyway, because it stinks like venom, you know. But then when I'm just there present, me and them, there's no story in my head. There's no pain or suffering. There's just me and the bees. And I don't need to wear anything but my smile. And when we connect, there's no stinging. There's no nothing. There's just me and the bees. And I'm just being with them. I'm listening to them. And what they're telling me is, call me crazy if you want to. But what the bees are telling me is the time is now.
Oh man, that's amazing, because actually when I was in Cabos also, I just like it popped on my head. I went to, like, 4 days. I was like, I gotta go and run that mountain to the top, because I don't know, it's something about it just called me, right? And when I was on the top at like 7:30 in the morning, like seeing the sunrise and seeing the ocean everywhere surrounding me, because Cabos, it's like you can see ocean on the right, on the right, and on the left. And I was on the top, and I was seeing the ocean, and I had a camera on me, like here in my head. So I took it, and I was like, this is exactly what I thrive for, like the present moment. Some birds on the background. Oh yeah, I saw the chicken. Yeah, yeah. So I was saying, when I was on the top, I felt, as we were saying before, I felt invincible, and I even recorded, and I said, I feel invincible because I'm living this moment, and nobody can take it away from me, because I took the decision of coming to the top of the mountain at this fucking hour to see exactly what I'm seeing, and it's even more than I expected. So I was like, to everyone that's fucking watching this, you gotta live the moment with the ones you love, with the things you love to do, and if you like being outside in nature, to just be there and appreciate, and that's what really makes you happy, man. Because, and I recently deleted my personal account of Instagram, because I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, I felt so sick in my head about not living on the moment,
Right.
like, for instance, and also because I like not living on this, like, physical plane of life, and it's like,
Right.
what the fuck? Why do I have this body, and I love nature, like, that's me, and I was like, how can I love this body and all this nature and shit, and fucking lose hours just watching stupid shit on the phone, and thinking if this girl is gonna like my picture, or if this, like, I don't know, fucking 100 motherfuckers will look at this story, and it's like, I just lost sense of it, and I was like, I gotta delete this shit. Like, I didn't delete, like, the podcast and my project, but my personal, I was like, dude, what does it even mean to you, this fucking thing? And I was like the answer popped right in my head, like, nothing. Fuck this shit. And I was like, yeah, fuck this shit. And it's like, I don't know, man. It makes me feel free, and it makes me feel like I'm living here and right now, which is what I wanted when I started to, like, having this trip.
When I deleted a lot of the information that was about me on the internet, I did it because I actually took it personal. Like, my phone rings all the time. I get all these messages, but how come it is not common knowledge. So I just, I didn't quit, but I just deleted a lot of things. You can pay a company to like wipe out certain things. And, because when people do research, that's what happened, actually. That was one of the first, I had a series of personal happenings that would be considered tragic. And the first one that really hit me below the belt was someone, reached out to me, having saw one of these things that the university was studying and researching that I had done with my nonprofit. They proved it to be real. They proved it to be a thing. And then they were starting to do a bigger study on it. And he's like, oh, I have this thing, and I just want you to know, I really support all the work that you're doing. And if you need, financial assistance in getting this research out there, I want to help you. And like I said, I don't have time to think about whether I trust you or not. And sometimes people do have bad intentions. Sometimes they do.
Yeah, a lot of times they do.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not going to let it ever stop me again. I'm not going to ever let it slow me down again, because there's so many good people out there. There's so many loving people out there. And I know we're scared. I know we forget. I know we've been hurt many, many, many times. But listen, if you care about nature at all, if you care about how the bees provide some of the most sacred things to you, like food and medicine, if you and you do not have time because you're busy with this, that, and the other thing, but you can support those. You in any way, not just financially. Like, there's so many ways to support, and you can offer that. You can definitely, help those that are doing that kind of work. And, yeah. So the super bee defenders, it's in my opinion, the best fit for myself moving forward, because I want to make a little less decisions now, and I want to support someone that I know has been through it, and not just willing to go through it, but prove that she can withstand the beating of the world and still shine her bright, infectious smile. When that woman smiles, you can't help but smile. When she walks into a room, just like you're saying, that confidence that's beaming, you cannot help but look. And you want to hug her because she is willingly giving her love. Willingly. Not with attachments. Oh, you got to give it back to me. Or, oh, I need something in return. Sole loves the world.
And that's a projection. Yeah, exactly, man. Everything it's a projection. So if you're like always in a bad mood and shit, I always say to my friends, a bad attitude, it's contagious, man. And
yeah,
if you don't observe it, and you don't observe that this other motherfucker it's cranky as fuck, you're gonna get like sick of it, like literally, like infected. And that's, and like when you said that when she comes into the room, she like almost illuminates the room. There's people like that, and it's the vibing. Like I was telling you, when like I wanted to invite you to this episode because like you were bright to me somehow when I watch you. Like you were vibing, like I don't know, something made a connection with me, and that's super cool. Like I like that kind of thing. Oh,
thank you so much.
Frozen. Oh yeah.
Oh, are we losing our connection?
Oh, I think
this must be time to say goodbye.
Yeah, man. Actually, I was gonna say that. Thank you so much for your time. I had a blast, and I believe like we can do another episode of like fucking 6 hours long. But yeah, I had a blast in this one, and I hope I can have you on another episode later on. I had a lot of fun.
Hey, how about when Sole comes here?
Man, I'd be I gladly do it. Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. And yeah, thank you so much for the invitation. I had a blast. I had an amazing time. And yeah, just in case you didn't know, you got me at the right time. And I've been working on feeling special again. And thanks to you, I feel a little more special today.
Oh man, it's all about it. Like as I told you, like I'll always give props to whoever really deserve it, and I think you do. And as I told you, John told me like, man, you gotta talk to this guy. He's amazing, and he's a friend of mine. I'm gonna tell him that you're gonna invite him to a podcast. And I was like, oh yeah. And then I started researching you, and I was like, yeah, for sure, I have to invite
That's
Shane.
a good
So
guy.
yeah,
I love that guy. John
yeah. Shout
Pitt.
out to John. Yeah, I hope I can do the podcast with him too someday.
He's a
Yeah,
good person.
yeah, he's cool.
He's one of those rare old school dudes that that we got a whole nother podcast, but I like guys like that.
Yeah,
You're not gonna catch too much complaining out of him. And when everyone is complaining,
never.
he's just
Yeah, he's chill.
quiet. Yeah.
Yeah, he's super chill. So
Yeah.
thank you, John, if you're seeing this, or when you see this. Thank you. And thank you, Shane.
Thank
as
you.
I told you, I enjoyed it. And I'd love to do the podcast again with you and this girl you were talking about. That would be
Storlane.
amazing because this topic about the venom therapy, it's something special. Like I've talked about it before on the podcast with a friend of mine. She's an apicultor, and we have talked about it before. So, but I didn't know about this technique you were saying. So it would be super interesting to me.
It's old school, but new school. Everything old school is new school. And if I could leave you with this,
Yeah.
a bee to the hive is a cell to your body, is you to the earth.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. I agree. I agree with that 100%. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was the 33rd episode of the podcast. Thank you to whoever's watching or listening, and peace and love.